Are we doing like talking to you or talking there?
Talk to me.
Yeah, be like, so guys, just to let you know. He's asking you questions. Yeah. Just to let you know, guys, my new tune's out.
Welcome to JBTV, your ultimate destination for exclusive interviews with DJs and professionals shaping the music industry. Today, we're thrilled to turn our spotlight on a rising star who's been igniting dance floors across the globe, Morgan Seatree. Morgan is no stranger to the energy of the dance floor. With a sound inspired by 90s house, he's been capturing the hearts of audiences with his blend of old school vocals and massive kick drums. From headlining his own event Unfussy to sharing the stage with industry giants like Patrick Topping and Alan Fitzpatrick, Morgan's rise to fame is a testament to his undeniable talent and passion for the music. This is JBTV, where we celebrate the artists who are shaping the future of music.
I'm your host Charlie, and I'll be guiding you through this exciting journey. So sit back, relax, and let's dive deep into the beats together. And today our very special guest is Morgan Seatree. Nice to meet you.
How you doing, bro?
We'll do that again.
Yeah, go on now. Restart.
Right now, I wasn't expecting that. Keep that one in as a blooper.
Right.
Welcome to JBTV, and today our very special guest is Morgan Seatree. Nice to meet you, brother.
You too, bro. Pleasure to be here.
So obviously you're playing the weekend. How are you looking forward to playing down at Joshua Brooks?
Mate, last time, like, we did the last one before Christmas, and like probably one of the highlight shows that we did last year, really. Like, it was sold out, energy was mad. So yeah, second birthday, can't wait. More of the same, definitely.
Can I just say, a different setting today. So not on the sofa, but on the nice, lovely upstairs bar. The venue manager's got a gun to my head right now. But continuing on, so when you first started, let's go all the way back to, you getting your first pair of decks. Like, what sort of age were you when you started like finding the love for DJing?
Yeah, like I think it was like, I remember I was 16 when I got my first pair of decks, and that was like, it was like some small controller, like, used to be like, have an iPad there, so you'd be like mixing into like an iPad, and that come from like Part Life. Went to Part Life, I think it was like 2014 or 2015, and I remember watching Eats Everything and Seth Troxer back to back. I didn't even have a clue what a back-to-back set was at that time. I was just like, yeah, I want to be up there doing that, and then like quickly realised like it's not as simple as just, getting a pair of decks and just doing it. You got to put like years of graft in. So yeah, it like started from there. Like I think I was about 16, so I was definitely in school at the time.
Were you always like into house from an early age, or was it like, what were your family listening to?
Kind of, like my dad is like bits and bobs. My mum definitely wasn't into like that kind of stuff. My dad kind of was into 90s house and stuff, but I wouldn't say it was like, what every DJ is all, my parents collected vinyl and like, all that. I was just like, it kind of come from like being around people in school and like sort of getting to know what it was, and then kind of educating myself from there on that sound.
Yeah, I mean, my parents, like, they're not into it at all, and then went to my first rave when I was like 16, 17, I was like, oh, yeah, this is more like it. Like, right? Yeah, I was just like, this is it now, and now I'm like working in the events industry, and it's like, this is my career. So it's always nice to hear like that is the same for most people. Like, they hear it once in with a crowd, and they're just like, yeah, this is it for me. Like, this is what I want to do.
100%, bro.
And so you got your pair of decks at 16. So what's that, like year 10, year 8?
I think it was like back end of year 10.
Probably one of the first people in the school to have decks, because in secondary school no one really listens to that sort of stuff. And then so you're going on, are you like telling people about like tunes that you're mixing? Like, are you doing any parties or anything?
I used to get terrored in school for DJing. Like, at that point it wasn't a cool thing to do, like mainly because no one was doing it. Like, it was obviously people who from the area who say older, but like in school no one was doing it, and then like I got them and everyone was like, oh yeah, you're not gonna do anything with this, and then because I'm not doing it on a club setting, I'm doing it on like a little controller, thinking it's like this thing. And then like from leaving school, like kind of obviously go college, and I actually did plumbing in college. Like, I said to my mum and dad, I was like, I want to do music, but they was like, nah, you need to get a trade behind you. Did plumbing in college. I don't think I'd know how to do anything. If the toilet broke, I wouldn't know how to fix it. And then just kind of gone from there.
These toilets need fixing. I'll tell you that for free.
So you've gone from playing, like, when was your first gig?
I remember first gig, I was talking about before, like Gorilla was my first gig in 2018. And it was, so I was like, 2 years after I started.
So that's not bad, 2 years in and you've got...
It was kind of fluke though. It was like these lads from Liverpool who was like running a party in Manchester. And I don't know how they found me, it must have just been through Instagram, and I remember it coming through, like, I've never played on the like club decks before. I was like, what are we gonna do? And then I found out about Pirate Studios, and I was like, right, went to Pirate Studios, started practicing, you know, on the big decks. Yeah. And then 2018 was my first gig, and then I kind of had like one or two after that. And then from like 2018 to I'd say like 2020, I was just like grafting, making music. So like I wasn't really getting any shows in that time. Because I knew like I found out quite quickly that, you know, if you want to actually make a career out of it, you need to make music. So like I just put all my time and money into making tunes, or like learning how to make tunes at the time. And
did you have like a set sound in your head before you started that you wanted to sort of recreate?
Mate, I made all sorts. Like some of my early stuff, like at the time tech house was cool, so it was like I was just like trying to copy these tech house tracks. You know, I wasn't really focusing on like, I want to make like 90s house or whatever. So I made like tech house, dabbled in a bit of minimal, you know, for like a year. And then, just kind of found my niche from like, I'd probably say 3 or 4 years in.
And then what sort of artists at the moment of like you're looking up to and aspiring towards, where you're like, I'm going to make tunes similar to these? Obviously you've got your own sound, but you know, on the same sort of path as these people. Yeah,
like I just like reference like all the old tunes, like, you know, all the classics, like K-Class tunes, you know, even like Shadow Child, like he was making like a lot of deep house stuff, but he's very big on the 90s stuff. Like when I first got into it, I was listening to like his deep house, but like when you actually, you know, we booked him for a party and I was speaking to him, and he's like very rich on that 90s culture. And then just like analysing classics that we all know and love, like Robin S tunes, all that sort of stuff, and just trying to like take bits from it, you know, make it my own. And that's literally like, you can never like make them the same, but like if you've got that idea of what you want to do, then I always find it's easier to write tunes, definitely.
So after 2020, obviously you've had a big gap of COVID, like the COVID year starts and no gigs at all or anything. Are you at home full time, focusing on like producing and your music?
Nah, so like I was working 9 to 5 until I was doing recruitment until September last year. So like only recent, I'm like a few months out of my job now doing music full time, but I was always like, we were still having to work through COVID. We were working from home, so I was still grafting at home. And then like my time slots was like after work, so I'd always like it used to be at my mum's in my old bedroom. She used to have like a cove in my room where I had like my desk and that. So I was like doing like a couple hours here and there at nights, and then just on a weekend doing like a full day. And to be honest, I found that's probably when I was most productive in making tunes then. You know, I'd had less time to do it, so I was more focused on making music and learning more.
Did you ever like realise that sort of like the social media promotion is the way forward to sort of get your name out? Like, you know, when I was a few years ago, for example, it was like start DJing, did some like live stream stuff, but never really like promoted it. And it's like, you know, if you start promoting from early, like I'm a DJ straight away, or like, you know, showing people how you're making tunes and stuff like that, you know, the growth that you can get from that in such a short amount of time is second to none compared to like people who are just a bit like, I don't want to do that.
I think like, I mean, like obviously TikTok's been introduced now, but like I remember I was only ever scared about like, I'm not shy to speak on camera, but what I was bothered about was like what people who knew me would think. So like to me, like the people who follow me on my page, I wasn't looking at it like as a whole public. I was looking at it like the people who I went to school with, you know, like laughing at you, like why is he doing this? But then you have to tell yourself like, no, if someone comes to your page who doesn't know you, they see what you're putting out. They don't know you personally, and that was always like a big thing to overcome. And then once I started just doing that, showing myself making tunes, not being afraid of what people would say, it just started going up and up from there. Because like you start building like pockets of fans then, you know, showing your life and showing your personality and stuff.
And obviously you mentioned the second birthday for Unfussy. When did that first begin, and what made you sort of come up with the name, and also, you know, how did you think I'm going to get an events company out there and start building so that you can DJ and headline on that, and then also build an events company at the same time?
Yeah, like, so the name's a funny one. The name come about, like, the Camden, the beer company, they have a beer called Camden Unfussy. So they have, like, Camden Pale, the Camden Lager, you know, the Hell's one and that. But they have one called Unfussy, and I was drinking it. I was like, yo, what a sick name. Went on company's house. I was like, am I going to get sued or something if I set, like, a company up? I was like, nah. So set Unfussy up, and then, yeah, that was 2 years, well, it's coming up to 2 years ago. And then our first party was on the Queen's Jubilee weekend. So it was like the only sort of weekend when there was no day parties on in Manchester. It was kind of like a free shot at a really good date, and we managed to get a venue in Trafford Park, Six Trees, did like a massive outdoor party, and like I'd never really sold more than 200, 250 tickets, because I did a few club nights with a friend before that. So like when it's South used to be open, and like the most we ever had in was like 200. So I was like, took a big risk. I was like, right, I'm going to put this on. Need to sell like 500 tickets just to even like, you know, make money back on it and things. And then yeah, sold out from the day. I think we had like 700-800 in there. And then just kind of like that first impression, because the date was free, there was so many people who didn't know even me or the brand, and that was like their first impression of it. And then since then they've just grown organically. And
sort of the amount of like the saturation in events at the moment is there's so many. So it's like, how do you sort of stand out and also just keep them people coming back? You know, because I bet throughout the time that you've kept on putting like these Unfussy nights on, you know, did you have to remove the amount of regularity that you had with your events? Did you have to do it like fortnightly, monthly? You know, how did you change to react to that?
I think we've always done it like every couple of months. Like I've never been, you know, I wasn't looking to do that as like an income. So it was like, for me, it was like I want every party to be impactful in terms of like, if it's on all the time and people are going to get bored of it. So like 3 or 4 a year, and then trying to keep it focused around me. So like booking guests who I believe in, but not relying on those guests to sell tickets. I think that's like so key to build something. If it's your own brand, you know, your own label, like looking up to like people like Patrick Topping and stuff, how they've done it with Trick, is like it's all focused around them, but then they're bringing people in who they believe in and who can help the brand as well. But you're not like relying on, you're not booking someone, you know, splashing a load of money on a headliner and hoping that you sell tickets. Yeah. I think people are coming for the actual brand, the actual party and an experience that they've had before, and then word of mouth from there.
I was at your one in Victoria Baths.
Did you go to that?
Yeah, and so obviously that was one of the big ones where you sold out a big venue. And how did that feel like behind that stage where it's like your own event, you're headlining it?
Yeah, mate, that one was stress, you know, like that was like, we had to do like, with that one, I remember like they was coming to me like, yep, we need to have like your fire evacuation plans, you know, like loads of like mad stuff. And I was like, I've never done any of this before, like searching online, like, you know, what I needed to do, because I was running all that on my own, like, and we had to do our own bar on that one. So I teamed up with Six Trees to help do the bar on it, but like, I learned so much from doing that party, like we put loads into it. And like, if we wouldn't have done that one, I genuinely don't think it would have gone as well as it did, because like we did that party knowing that with the amount of tickets we could sell, you can't really make that much money on it. So it was more about the wow factor of doing that in that space. I know you guys have done a few there, and like we did it at the time. I can't remember if it was before or after, maybe Moxie did one, but we did it there like knowing, you know, if we pull this off, then it's kind of like a step up from other local parties who are independent brands, you know, who were just booking out, you know, normal venues and stuff, because it's quite a niche spot to do, but it was definitely worth it, 100%.
Yeah, it's like for there, you've got like to load in from the side, so you've got to build a big stage,
mate,
like a ramp,
like
and then
ramp alone was
and it costs a
grand.
grand. That's
like,
what I mean.
Like they didn't tell us about
the steps out the pool. That's a grand.
They didn't tell us about that, and I was like, where am I going to find this money from? You know, it's like stuff that you don't think you need to budget for. So you learn loads in that side of things, and it's kind of like builds experience and like I feel like it makes you stronger as well, 100%.
And where did you go from that venue? So you moved on to...
Yeah, we did Love Factory, we did Progress, so we did a couple parties, which like daytime ones, but again, just keeping them like every two months.
How was the Progress Centre one? Because Progress Centre is so good, but if it's rain, it's all weather dependent on that one. It's like...
I was just pissing it down like...
We did, everyone was like, it was kind of good from a DJ's point of view, because everyone crammed under the shelter, so everyone was like sardines, so the energy was good, but like if they wanted to spread out, you know, it would have gone back well further. Yeah. I think like we was pretty much sold out on it, and then we had like a 20% drop off with the weather. But it's like things like that, you know, even if you can pull the numbers, like the one we did at Love Factory, it was the Manchester Derby final. Elton John was on, Arctic Monkeys was on, and Coldplay all on the same day. And I was like, if we don't show the match at the event, no one's coming until 7. We're gonna have to put last entry like 7 p.m. because kickoff was like 5:30, I think. So like, no one's gonna come before it. So we had to put screens in the tent, and LP Rhythm was playing, and he's like, everyone was just like, he was dancing, but the decks was there and the TVs were there. So like, he was like DJing, everyone was like dancing, watching the game. It was like, and we were saying like, if we could pull something off on that, you know, all those things are like, it's never plain sailing putting events on. But that's why I love it as well. You know, like being able to kind of like grind with it and hustle, it's mint. Have you got any sort of like, what's your next steps for Unfussy? Obviously you've got your second birthday coming up. What's the next like thing for it? Yeah, so I'm looking to branch it out. Like we did Leeds on the 19th of Jan. So that was our first event this year. We've obviously got this one as the second in Manchester, and what I do one in Newcastle, Dublin. So I'm trying to get it out there a bit now, and then maybe do 1 or 2 in Manchester and keep them more like special. So like, you know, people if they know there's only going to be like one main one a year, and maybe 2 club nights, you're going to be hungry to go to it. But then also it helps us grow. You know, as my personal stuff is going better, I want to try and then in those cities I'm playing in, take the party there and work with promoters and stuff. So, and then hoping then maybe next year, you know, those people might come to Manchester for one of these shows, you know, from other cities. So back to like your personal DJ career. Obviously you DJ'd at the biggest venue in Manchester, that's the Warehouse Project. How was that for you before getting on stage, or like even when you got called to get booked, for example? What was that like? You know, what was the process in that as well? Yeah, so I mean, it's all thanks to Patrick Topping. Like I released on Trick, and I remember I was at Parlife with him last year, and he was just like dropped it in there. He's just like, "Oh, have you had an email from Warehouse?" I was like, "What are you on about?" He's like, "I've told Warehouse that I want to book you. We're doing like we're taking over the whole venue on the 11th of November." I was like, "No, I've not heard anything." So like he thought that they would have told me, so I was just like in the back of the car, like, "What I'm doing Warehouse?" And then we didn't get any requests until literally like 2 days before the kind of cut-off was. And then we got it through, mate. You should have just seen me. I was sprinting around the house, like saying to her missus, like, "Oh, it's come through." And then yeah, like she actually done a TikTok like before the show, like, so I was just like, I never really get nervous, but for that one it was such a big one. And like, because I was doing the main room as well, it's like a 6,000 cap, I think it is. I was just like, getting a bit worked up, overthinking it, and then as soon as I got there and jumped on, like, I was absolutely fine, just adrenaline, loving it. But yeah, like now I've done that one, I feel like it's kind of, you play a venue that big, you learn as well, like, okay, this is like the benchmark, you know what I mean? And it also, to be honest, I actually think playing like at JB's is actually more nervous because everyone's on top of you, you know. So I'm looking at, you know, you get people there, I'm like, yo, if I mess up or something here. Everyone's just staring at you from the side, aren't you? Yeah, literally, or like you can touch you. So sometimes them bigger venues are good because you're quite far away. So you kind of I was just focusing on one of the pillars, me, so it looks like I'm looking at the crowd. I was just looking at this pillar, like dead far away. So it's like, you know, your head's up. But yeah, it was crazy. So I feel like your sound really suits like that big Warehouse like vibe, but did you have to adjust at all to that sound? Because there's a lot of DJs that I've gone and watched, and I'm thinking, you're playing for a small room here, like this is a big room, like Warehouse, you know, you need to make it like big room. Yeah, it's like a fine line because obviously, you know, all the headliners are on later slots, and like, as DJ code goes, you know, it should kind of build up to the headliner. Like on a normal club night, you know, like we have our residents, and the night kind of really flows nicely up until like the end, like gradually picking up the energy. But like, I was speaking to my manager before Warehouse, I was like, every show that I've been to at Warehouse, it's almost like that doesn't exist. You know, everyone just goes full pelt. It's like, right, you've got 5 DJs on this lineup, you've all got to show what you can do. So like half of me was thinking like, do I kind of like tame it up, or half was like, should I just go for it? I was just like, I'm just going to slam it. And like Patrick said to me before the show, he said, play as heavy as you want, but just make sure before you hand over, because I was handing over to Green Velvet, he said, just before you hand over to him, just make sure you're on like 127 BPM. So like I went up to like 140s, you know, I was slamming it, and then like last 5 tracks brought it down, and then it was perfect for him to go on again. So it's nice because I was like, because he told me to do it, I was just like, right, I'm just going to go for it. If he's giving me the blessing on his party. Handing it over to Green Velvet, what was that like? He didn't have a USB, you know, he had an SD card. So he come over he was handing over to me, and I was like, oh yeah, you can put USB in that one. He whipped out this little SD card and whacked it in. I was like, what the hell's that? And he was like, yeah man, like great set bro. And I was just like, it's mad. Green Velvet. I just remember watching him at Parklife and that, and then he's handing over to it. It was crazy.
I bet his collection's mad on.
I just seen, he started off with like bigger than Prince, so I was like, yeah, let the master do his thing, you know what I mean?
What sort of time were you on then?
I was on, so there's someone, I think Melly Brown was opening, and then I think I was on 9:30 till 11:15 or something. So like the last entry had been, and then it was just like first 20 minutes of my set was full, but then like after the last entry, the door shut, it was just like a sea of people. Because I could kind of see there was a few gaps at the back, and then like as I looked up the last half an hour, it was just absolutely rammed. It was mad. But then kind of you've warmed into it then as well, so it was better for me. Yeah.
So after that, you know, you've got this massive exposure of all these people watching you. Did you feel that after the set? You know, were you getting that traction from people following after, and then thinking, all right, this is it now, I can follow on with this?
Yeah, definitely. Like TikTok was the main one, bro, because like everyone, you know, it's like warehouse. Like some people, like I swear people call it like on TikTok like car phone warehouse projects, because everyone's just like filming. But as a DJ, I want that, you know, because like that's now is like, it used to be that you, like when phones weren't about, it was like word of mouth. You'd go to a club and you'd see your favorite DJ play. Whereas now it's like all these people filming you and putting it on TikTok. He's going out on all their TikToks, and that's more people finding out about you. So I actually encourage that, you know, in them big settings anyway. In club nights, a little bit different because it's more your core fans who are coming. But yeah, like after that, like so many TikToks went up and posts, and the post traction.
And you quit your job?
Yeah, I'd been, so that was in November. I'd been out of the job since September last year. So I had like a couple months to kind of like build up to it.
And so after that then, did you get many bookings after that? Like, did you see people starting to book you more and more, and like now you're realizing like this is it now, like I'm going for, you know, what are you going for? What's your big goal to like, where do you want to DJ?
Yeah, like to like Sentimental want to be Parklife, because that was the first one that I went to, like that got me into it. Like do Ibiza, you know, play internationally a lot and do like big festivals. But yeah, just because like, I just want to play as much as possible and play to as bigger crowds as I can.
Did you play in the Trick Tenerife, or is that that on the cards for maybe the next one?
Potentially, yeah.
Trick, if you're listening.
yeah, potentially. So, no, I've not played that one yet, but like they done that one last year. I think they got the other one coming up. But yeah, it's like all thanks to Trick anyway, because obviously doing them shows, like I did those. I've done 2 shows for them now, and like even just from that you know, the other bookings and like getting you in front of the right people. It's like playing, like it's just the people who are watching behind the scenes from like a warehouse set, you know, who are involved with other stuff. Like I'm doing the Blackstone warehouse shows in a couple of weeks with Hannah. So yeah, just non-stop now. Do
you think that's going to be your sound for the foreseeable? Like, are you like this, you know, the Hannah Lang's, the Trick sound?
Yeah, like we were talking about it before, it's like I think everything's so fast at the minute, like we can scale it up and down. Like mine's sort of, I'd just call it house, whether it's 90s or whether it's a bit more like Trick, you know, faster stuff. But I think the key thing is just like, if the trend starts to go a bit slower, just bring the tempo down a bit. And I think it's always going to be like, that's what I love. So it's always going to be around that sort of 90s housey vibes, but it might just change, you know, as the years go on. I don't know.
It's just come back to me. I was speaking to Waf, it was about warm-up sets, and he was saying that when he first started, he used to just absolutely like slam it. And it was like, he'd played in, I can't remember where he said, he might have been in Ibiza, and he was just like told that he couldn't come back because he'd smashed it out like at fucking 5 p.m. in the afternoon. And he was like, but that was his, like that is who he is. And he played how he wanted to play, and I mean realistically it's got him just as far, you know, if he had done a warm-up set he probably wouldn't have got to
exactly. And like that is the thing, is like, and he's so right with that, because he's like, I know that like I might not get another chance at a warehouse project, so like I want to come away from that knowing that couldn't have done any better. And whether you get frowned upon for that, for playing, you know, peak time or not, you just kind of just got to go for it. I personally think I'm with Waf on that 100%.
What sets you apart in the events industry, like in the music industry?
Like me as a person or Unfussy?
All of it. Unfussy, DJ, like as a person as well, like your social media. What sets you apart from like someone else that maybe is just in their bedroom, you know, or even like that person on stage but is waiting for his next booking, you know? What makes you that person that's going to get that next booking?
Yeah, I think there's so many moving parts to like what you'd class as like success in the music industry, you know what I mean? Like someone's, like for me, I'm just as now, obviously, yeah, we've all got goals, but like my immediate goal is just to make sure that I'm getting enough so that I don't have to go back to doing recruitment and I can pay my bills and I can do music full time. But then obviously building on that as a long-term goal is you want to obviously be playing in all these bigger places. And like, it's always been about for me just showing who I am as a person online, whether I'm doing cooking videos, walking my dog, do you know what I mean? Anything like that, stuff people can relate to. And then like, I would just say when I'm playing, I'm just like proper ADHD. So I'm just like jumping around. Like you see me play, I'm just like here, there and everywhere, just bouncing and just having fun. And like, that's what it should be about, you know what I mean? Some DJs, their thing is just focus and like being like a bit more sort of, almost looks like they're just laying back on there, but that's their thing. So I think it just all depends on personality. Because like the introvert person who DJs, to them, jumping about isn't their thing, and you'd be able to tell that it's not them as a person. So I think just being you know.
Is that what you like in the studio as well?
Yeah,
like you're bouncing around?
My rule is like, if I'm making a tune and I'm not up dancing, that tune's getting dashed. It's the wrong tune, 100%.
And then, so in let's say you've stepped into the studio, what is your sort of creative process? Like, have you got some set things that you've already built in, or are you going into the studio fresh? You know, like, what do you do on a day to day?
Starts as a blank slate every time. I know some people use templates, but yeah, I just start as like a blank page, and then like usually I'll have an idea of like what I find listening to music before it. So like, I might have listened to like an old 90s track and thought, right, I want to make something like that. I find if I don't have any sort of inspiration of what I want to make, it never works. So I think going in, just having an idea of, you'll never make exactly what you're setting out to do, but it just gets you kick-started. And then yeah, just have fun with it. Like the best tracks come together in like 2 hours. The ones where you're spending like 4 or 5, I know it's not the right track.
How long, what's the longest you've spent like on a track?
To be honest, mate, I just if I've not got an idea down in 2 hours, I'll just leave it and start again. I just know that's how I work. Like quick, like I know a lot of the I know Ben Emsley said like Through to You, he made that in like 90 minutes, one of his biggest tracks, because you just know it just flows easy. So you just like, you know when you've got an idea down, and then usually it's like the track's almost right in itself. You're not like, if you're spending an hour EQing a hi-hat, it's not the right sound, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. So like, for your, obviously you've got a new tune out at the moment. Is there anything you want to? I'll say that again. Yeah, plug your new tune.
We can,
Go on.
Follow You's out now on Ministry. So yeah, if you want to stream it, buy it, play it, send me some vids of it, show it to your mum. Play it full blast on Alexa. Do what you want. Do you know what I mean?
It'll be played on Saturday, of course. So
Yeah,
you're hoping you'll get some footage from that as well.
100%,
yeah, definitely. Going into sort of like your future, and you said you want to play at these big clubs, but what are the sort of real future goals in like the next sort of steps, and then also like, let's say 5 years time, maybe 2 years time?
Yeah, like obviously I want to develop the label side of Unfussy and start releasing my music, other people's music, and building up like the label side of things. I'd love to do some abroad Unfussies as well, and yeah, just kind of build it up and bring more people on and try and be that person to help bring others through as well. You know, like what say Patrick and that I've done for people like us, kind of be that guy for like our residents and anyone else who comes in, and kind of help, you know, what I've learned and help others with it.
Do you reckon you can handle the workload of like doing all these things like label events?
I'll have to start hiring some people when we can afford it. I'll have to bring some people in, definitely. Can't. It's like it's fine balance between focusing on your personal stuff and then the label side of things, and you know, the Unfussy is just the small projects on the side of the main thing. Like me playing for other people's parties is what pays the bills, is what sort of like Unfussy is just my side project at the moment, which is obviously the long-term goal is to build that into something where I've got a secure sort of business with it and things.
Do you think you'll have a festival one day?
Unfussy. I'd love to have an unfussy stage. I don't think I'd have my own festival, but I'd definitely want to have an unfussy stage at like a big festival. That'd be a good one.
What festival are we talking?
Creamfields, Parklife, any, you know what I mean? Yeah, they'd be the two that stand out because they're local, but if anyone wants to put our unfussy stage on your festival, shout me.
What sort of, I'm guessing you've been to like so many festivals, but have you ever been as an attendee and gone like, this is, because for me it's like I go to Lost Village a lot, and it's like every year I take inspiration of that from a festival side of it and be like, this is a top tier like festival. Do you ever get that when you as a DJ, like going around to these festivals and being like, taking loads of inspiration from?
Yeah, and just touching back on like that, like I remember one that stands out to me because I'm not really. A lot of my mates are into that sort of like more minimal sound, and I remember we went to Sunwaves in Romania in 2019, I think it was. I just remember like I'm not even really into that music, and like just going there was crazy. It was just like I'd never sort of experienced anything like it, even like down to the people. Like sometimes you go to a festival here and like you don't know if you're gonna get stabbed or like get hugged off someone, whereas there it's just like all love and it's mint. And then like also going back to playing as well, like there's definitely places where you play and you think, whether it's a stage idea or a decor idea that I can take to the parties, you definitely do pick things up.
Have you got any advice for the aspiring DJs that aren't really far behind yourself? 3-4 years maybe they've just maybe started, or they are just getting booked. Have you got any advice for those types of people that are trying to get their name out there more? Yeah,
the main thing, the most important thing is making music. So like perfecting your sound and not rushing it. Like it took me age. I sent so much music to DJs that won't listen to my music now because their first memory of me was me sending them tracks when I was starting that weren't good enough. So it's like having someone who you can sort of speak to, who's got a good pair of ears and who's in the industry, to say that's ready or that's not ready before you send it out to, say, your favourite DJ or your favourite artist. And then like a combination of, showing your journey on Instagram, TikTok, you making a track, it might not be good enough yet, but people then love to look back on that progression. If you look at someone who's blown up and then you go back on their page and it's like you see that journey, they're not pretending to be someone, they're just embracing it. And then you can do things like go to the parties. If there's parties that you want to get on, you can go to the actual nights, try and find out who runs them, chat to them in person. Like no one ever books you off DM and saying, hey bro, can I have a slot at your event? You know what I mean? You want to get to know the person. Yeah. I do anyway. Like I wouldn't book anyone who DMs me. I want to know them and know that they fit in with us and that they're a nice person before and then them buying a ticket and coming shows that they're eager and that they actually want to be a part of what you're doing and they're not just doing it to get a set. Do you know what I mean?
Obviously your set on Saturday, is that a sold out event?
Pretty much, yeah. We've got a few more to shift, but yeah, should be sold out.
And then have you got the next one lined up?
We're just in talk. We were going to do one in Manchester on the May time, but we're just planning it because I might potentially do one outside of Manchester instead. I'm not too sure yet. We're just kind of like saying taking it easy this year on the unfussy side of things and just sort of, usually I'd have the full year planned out, but I'm just not, because I'm getting so much stuff going on with my personal bookings, I'm just trying to figure out when's best to throw them around some of the festivals that I'm doing.
I feel like it's hard in Manchester as well because like outdoor venues especially, there's only a couple that you can really name, and it's like, Progress Centre, for example, last year has been smashed, but like you would go again, but it's like you want other ones that are like really like you've never done before, and it's quite tough to find, isn't it? Yeah,
exactly, and that's why I'm not rushing it, because like there's no need to. I'm just kind of play it by ear, and if the right venue comes up or if something pops up where I think, let's go on, let's maybe whack a party out on a month's notice, then I might do it, but nothing planned after this in terms of Manchester.
And is there any more information that you want to sort of tell your audience, tell your fans, tell some new people that what you've got coming up, or have you got any like tracks that you're on the way forward, like any collaborations that you've got?
To be fair, not too much that I can speak about. Like Follow You's out, obviously we touched on that, and I think we've pretty much covered it all, bro.
Yeah, I'd say so as well. To be fair, quick fire then. What artists would you like to collaborate with?
Clementine Douglas, who's a vocalist on Sonny Fodera's new tune, Asking. She's just like for me, the best voice in house music at the minute. As that'd be from like a vocalist point of view. And then if we were talking like artist point of view, I'd love to do something with like Piano Man from the 90s, you know, just someone who could just play mad riffs and just like get in the studio, just pick their brains about how they made tunes back in the day. And yeah, and just learn from it.
Do you play any instruments?
Nah, I don't. I can't play piano or anything. Like I'll, in like Logic, there's like you can do like chord triggers and like so you can basically learn riffs and then like rather than playing it in, you can like do it manually with the computer. So like I'll like analyze tracks and do it that way. I got mates and stuff that can play, but yeah, I've just never.
Favorite venue in the UK?
Joshua Brooks. No, honestly, like Hand on Heart Club Night, Joshua Brooks. I've not done obviously that many, but like the best one in terms of big venue, best one I've played was in the Depot, but that's just maybe because it's a sentimental thing. I don't know whether the concourse will be better, but if we're talking intimate club nights, JB's 100%.
Was that your favourite set at the warehouse?
Yeah, but that's just always been like the thing that got me into it, so it's kind of natural. Like it will take some beating. There'll obviously be sets that are maybe potentially better in terms of the experience, but like in terms of sentimental value, I think it can't really be beaten.
Top 3 artists.
So like upcoming, just my favourite artists of all time.
Whatever you like.
Right, let me spin off. Let me overthink. I'm going to spin you off one vocalist, one up and coming artist, and one.
I like that.
Yeah, so like vocalist, Robin S is like my all-time favourite vocalist from like house tunes. Yeah. Upcoming, LP Rhythm. I just think he's been involved with them, Fussy done some stuff, and he's gonna be huge very soon. And then I just love K-Class, like K-Class have always been big idols for me.
Have you ever been to a 90s baby festival?
Never.
Oh mate, they're all there, like all the old school house, Ultra Beat or everyone like that, and when they come, it's all like your 40-year-old mums and dads, but it's always a good vibe. Like, it was great last year.
There's never any trouble, is there? They're just all there. There's no phones out, nothing.
Right, well, I think that's a wrap. Really appreciate you taking your time out your day.
Thank you, bro. Pleasure.
That was nice. That was better than the start of that handshake. Yeah, thanks for coming down. Don't forget to follow Morgan Seatree on all social media channels.
Yeah, I don't know when this is coming out, but if it's before the event, 2nd of March, see you here.
See you there. Comment, like and subscribe. This has been JBTV. Thank you very much.